Hi, I'm Maureen Day. I'm the Assistant Professor of Religion and Society at the Franciscan School of Theology. Like a lot of us, we're out here in lockdown, but Holy Week is still going on all around us. And so I wanted to share some reflections with you on Holy Week in a time of the coronavirus. I hope this finds you and yours very well. Tuesday's Gospel reading was the Last Supper. Jesus announces that he is going to be betrayed, that he is going to leave the disciples, and that even Peter will deny Jesus. As I read this, it struck me how disruptive this scene is. I was further struck by Peter's assertion that this disruption had nothing to do with him. Peter says, "Of course I can follow you. I'd lay down my life for you." Jesus says, "No, Peter. You're going to deny me 3 times by the time the cock crows." Peter demonstrates for us an example in which disruption was ignored. Jesus was clearly announcing a change, and Peter assumed that the same old patterns would hold. Now I want to take us to a couple other moments of disruption in salvation history. Mary experiences a disruption in her life too. She had been betrothed to Joseph. She probably imagined a simple and devoted life with him, and, in due time, their children. But then, enter the disruption. Best laid, good and holy plans needed re-examination. Yet Mary responds to her disruption with agency and trust. Jesus invites us into disruption through parables. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, the priest and the scribe had duties to perform that required their ritual purity. They told themselves that because of their plans, they couldn't enter into this disruption of the man who lay beaten and dying on the side of the road. The unlikely hero, the Samaritan, was the one who entered into the disruption, saw things differently, and responded accordingly. So Peter, the priest, and the scribe dismissed the disruption, while Mary, the Samaritan, and Francis, here at the cross of San Damiano and in his encounter with the leper, these folks entered into the disruption fully. But rather than an angel, COVID is disrupting all of our lives. So there's a little bit of distance in our situation compared to some of these. Peter and St. Francis at the cross had direct encounters with God. Mary's disruption came through an angel. We have a disease. Our disruption is more like the Samaritans or Francis's with the leper. It is a disruption through a natural event. Now, before I go any further, I want to make sure that I'm fully human here. COVID is awful. This disruption is hard, tiring, and draining. We have no analogies in our experiences from which to draw, and it is a misunderstanding of the Gospels to say simply, "Look to the good." Instead, it is more authentic to first fully identify the bad, the obstacle, the challenge, or whatever lays before us, and then to respond to that in love. When we have the chance to respond with fear or love, we choose love. To respond from spite or love, we choose love. Apathy or love? Love. Despair? Love. God's love abundantly given calls us to respond from love in all things. So our God moment, that is, our creative and loving response to this disruption, comes in our realizing that we can either close ourselves off from these moments of disruption, or we can lovingly open ourselves up and enter into them more fully. And this is really the Christian challenge every day, to open up and lovingly enter into our present reality in whatever unexpected way we're called. We're just more aware of that challenge in these times when our world is so obviously fragile. So whether we're putting together meals for local residents, making sure that kids who depend on school lunches aren't going hungry, If our business is closed, we give our toilet paper away. Or maybe we're ensuring that people have food as they hunker down at home. Or keeping our public spaces clean. Donating and collecting blood. Ensuring medical access to everyone. Helping in drive-through testing facilities. Or teaching kids how to use their Chromebook for at-home learning. There are so many grace-filled people connecting us in this time of isolation. And as for Awesome Us, the FST community and our friends, perhaps you're homeschooling your own kids, getting groceries for loved ones, doing a video call with friends, learning to work from home, or learning how to be an online student, professor, and/or minister. By being a light in difficult times, we bring a new disruption, God's disruption, to the despair and fear and worry that we might otherwise fall into. This is God's inbreaking. So even while we've had to let go of many plans, we can also realize that there are new and untested and uncomfortable opportunities that we're being invited to fully enter into. Let's hold one another in prayer as we each manifest God's disruptive goodness in our world.